Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being truly well informed. Today, we're diving deep into the captivating world of movies. Specifically, we're looking at this really fascinating paradox. You know how some films that were like massive box office failures at first are now seen as absolute classics, while others just rake in billions straight away. It's kind of a wild ride.
Yeah.
For this deep dive, we've got a great video looking at cinematic flops, some comprehensive reports on Hollywood's evolution and the biggest hits, detailed explanations of film distribution, and even insights into these really cutting-edge immersive technologies in cinemas now. So our mission today, unpack how films get that legendary status or, spectacularly defy that initial failure. We want to reveal the complex kind of behind-the-scenes stuff about getting movies to you, the audience, and also discover the surprising ways that the film industry is adapting, innovating for the future. Okay, let's unpack this.
It really is a compelling subject, especially when you think about how much the industry has changed and how those shifts really impact, how a film is received initially versus its sort of long-term legacy.
Yeah, it's one of the wildest things in movies, isn't it? This whole phenomena. Films that everyone thought were disasters, total bombs, but somehow they found their way, became classics. It kind of messes with what you think box office success even means.
It really does. And it happens more often than you might think. Often these films struggled initially for pretty common reasons. Maybe, critics hated it or audiences just didn't get it. Sometimes they were genuinely ahead of their time or just like marketed wrong, completely missed the mark. And yeah, sadly, these theatrical misfires sometimes really hurt the careers of big name directors, sometimes cost them their next job even.
Right. Can you give us some examples? Because the list is actually pretty mind-blowing when you look at it.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, take Dr. Sleep, 2019. Had an operating budget just over $50 million, right? But it only made about $31 million at the box office, a clear loss. Yet now, some people argue it's even better than The Shining, which is, wow, its initial flop, often tied to these new models of really short theatrical runs before they hit streaming. Just didn't have time to find its legs.
Huh. And then there's Richard Linklater's Dazed and Confused from '93. I read it basically just broke even on its production budget, like 7 or 8 million made on a 7 or 8 million budget, not even counting marketing cost. And today, it's in the Criterion Collection, which is, a huge deal. It's seen as this absolute American classic, kind of famous for being an early 90s movie that feels like an 80s movie, but it's set in the 70s.
Yeah.
That whole vibe.
Yeah, perfect example of a film finding its audience over time. Took a while. Then you have Mulholland Drive, played with Lynch, 2001. Made just over $6 million on a $17 million production budget, so a big miss financially at first. But now, also Criterion Collection, held up as like this peak of American cinema. Its style, that really distinct Lynch thing, was probably just a little ahead of its time. Audiences needed to catch up, maybe.
Wow. And, okay, we have to talk about Fight Club. 1999, it brought in, what, $37 million worldwide against a budget of nearly $70 million?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hardcore flop right there.
Oh, yeah, no question.
But then, eventually, critics and fans kind of got it once it hit home video.
Yeah.
And it just exploded into this massive cult hit. Whole fan communities built around it. It's like it needed that breathing room.
Exactly. Breathing room is a good way to put it. And Donnie Darko, 2004. Similar story, smaller scale maybe. 6.5 million budget, made about 7 million box office, so barely made its money back. But now, it's a super popular film. Kind of the poster child for benefiting from that older system, Theatrical run, then sales, rentals. Apparently, it set records for home video rentals. Made the studio over 25 million just from rentals alone. Huge profit. Eventually.
That's incredible. Then there's The Shawshank Redemption, 1994. This one always gets me. Made somewhere between 24 and 28 million against a nearly 30 million budget. So, again, didn't make its money back in theaters.
Nope. Completely off the radar at the box office.
But then, awards buzz, critical acclaim, home video, it just built and built. And now it's an absolute classic, like a must-have, must-own, must-see film for so many people. Just staggering, given where it started. What really stands out to you about these incredible turnarounds where the film's second act just totally rewrote its legacy?
Well, it's not just about, delayed success. It really highlights how many of these films, which were often kind of challenging or niche, they genuinely needed time and repeat viewings sometimes to really be understood and embraced. That old distribution model with longer runs, physical media rentals, maybe unintentionally, it provided this like fertile ground, gave the slow burn masterpieces a chance to build a following, to kind of embed themselves in the culture. That's a luxury that's, well, much harder to come by today, with films often judged just on that opening weekend performance.
That's a really good point. It does clarify how that slow burn used to work.
Yeah.
Does that mean today's films with these shorter windows are maybe inherently disadvantaged in building that same kind of lasting legacy? It's something to think about. But okay, let's flip the script now. Let's talk about the inverse. What does make a movie a massive, record-breaking, billion-dollar hit right from the start? Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, and to understand that, we first need to kind of clarify how we even measure box office success, because there are different ways to look at it. We often hear about global earnings. That's just the total money a film makes worldwide. Simple enough. Avatar leads that list with over 2.9 billion. Then Avengers. Endgame close behind with nearly 2.8 billion. Huge numbers.
Right, Avatar Endgame. Those numbers are insane.
Mhm.
But is just the raw money the best way to measure a film's actual impact culturally? Are there other ways, like maybe inflation-adjusted figures or ticket sales, that give us a fuller, maybe even surprising picture?
That's a really excellent question. Because global earnings, while flashy, they don't paint the whole picture. Not at all. You got ticket sales. That actually measures the number of people who went to see the film, a more direct measure of audience size. And crucially, like you said, adjustments for inflation. This is super important for comparing films across different eras fairly. Because while, yeah, recent blockbusters dominate the unadjusted lists, partly due to higher ticket prices now and bigger global markets, when you adjust for inflation, those classic hits often rise to the top. Things like Gone with the Wind, the original Star Wars from '77, E.T. They often dominate those adjusted rankings. Was immense for their time.
Okay, so it's not just about the dollars. Today, it's about genuine reach, how many people actually showed up. That makes sense. And thinking about that impact, how did Hollywood even get to the point where it could create these kinds of massive blockbusters? What was the evolution? Well, Hollywood's journey is pretty fascinating. It started with silent films, right? Pure visual storytelling back in the early 1900s. Created this kind of universal language. Then the huge revolution sound. The jazz singer in the 1920s, that changed everything. Dialogue, music, drew in even bigger crowds. That led into the powerful studio system of the 30s. MGM, Warner Bros., operating like these giant movie factories, shaping stars, genres. That system, good and bad, kind of laid the groundwork for today's huge entertainment companies. Even things like the golden age of film noir in the 50s, with films like Citizen Kane. They pushed boundaries, paved the way for more complex stories. So this whole journey through Hollywood's past, it wasn't just random innovations. Each step sort of built the foundation, scale, the spectacle, needed to eventually create the modern blockbuster we see today, leading up to those cultural phenomena. Right, so today's blockbusters didn't just spring out of nowhere. They stand on the shoulders of decades of change. Yeah. So what are the visible trends now? How do these films actually get to that billion-dollar status today?
You can definitely see clear patterns. First, just increasing budgets and spectacle. Bigger is often seen as better. Films push visual limits, immersive experiences, driven by VFX, CGI, all the digital effects since the 90s, really. Think Avatar pioneering 3D or the 2019 Lion King with that hyper-realistic animation. Second, franchise and universe building. This is huge now. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, Star Wars. These interconnected stories keep audiences hooked, coming back for the next chapter. Third, there's a definite genre dominance. Superhero films have become massive, obviously, along with animated films, sequels, reboots, things that tend to appeal to really broad audiences. And finally, marketing and distribution innovations. You can't ignore that. Massive marketing campaigns, strategic release dates summer, holidays to maximize those opening weekends. It's a machine.
Given those trends, the huge budgets, the franchises, the focus on certain genres, is there a risk we're ending up with a kind of creative monoculture in Hollywood? Like, what's the long-term impact on original stories, maybe smaller films?
That's a really important question. And yeah, it's a concern for many. This relentless pursuit of spectacle and franchise building, while it's undeniably profitable, it arguably has kind of homogenized mainstream movies. It creates this landscape where maybe more formulaic stories dominate, and the space for original mid-budget films, it seems to shrink. It's a fascinating trade-off, isn't it? You get unprecedented global reach for some kinds of films, but potentially, yeah, a less diverse cinematic output overall.
Definitely gives you pause. And speaking of getting those films to audiences, let's pull back. Okay, so how does a film actually get distribution? Is it different if you're, say, Disney versus an independent filmmaker?
Oh, absolutely. Different paths. For big stars or sequels, you might get pre-sale distribution. A distributor agrees to buy it before it's even finished. Major studios, like Disney you mentioned, they often handle it all in-house. They have their own distribution arms. But independent filmmakers, they usually have to shop their films around, take them to big festivals, Venice, Cannes, Toronto, Sundance, or film markets. Often they'll work with sales agents to help make those deals. And the deal itself usually involves licensing agreements.
Licensing agreements. Okay, so what does that mean practically for the filmmaker? What's involved?
Well, these agreements need some careful legal work. You have to make sure you're clearing rights. That means avoiding things like accidentally showing a copyrighted building in the background without permission or using a brand name improperly, all that stuff. And there are different types of deals, like leasing the distributor pays a fixed price, but the producer pays ongoing expenses. Or profit sharing, where the distributor gets a cut, maybe 10 to 50% of the profits. That gives them skin in the game and incentive to push the film hard.
Gotcha. And this leads us right into the window wars we hear so much about.
Yeah.
What exactly are those? And how has streaming just completely shaken things up for theaters?
Right, the window wars. It's all about the fight over the theatrical release window. That's the traditional period when a movie is only available in cinemas exclusively. Streaming has just, well, completely disrupted this model, blew it up, really. Traditionally, that window was like 90 days, 3 months. Today, those windows are shrinking dramatically, often down to just 30, 45 days. And sometimes you even see hybrid releases in theaters and on streaming the same day, or films going straight to streaming, skipping theaters entirely. And this naturally creates a lot of tension between the streaming services, the filmmakers who want that big screen debut, and the theaters themselves who rely on that exclusivity to make money.
Yeah, you can see why theaters would be nervous. So how has streaming specifically impacted cinemas? What's really at stake for them?
Well, the sheer convenience, affordability, and flexibility of streaming, Netflix, Amazon Prime, all the others, it's led to a really significant decrease in attendance rates at cinemas. By 2019, attendance had apparently plummeted to its lowest in over 2 decades, which is huge. It means a lot of people now only go to the theater for the really big event movies, the spectacles. So for theaters, what's at stake is, well, everything. Their basic business model relies on people buying tickets and popcorn.
So faced with this kind of existential threat, how are theaters responding? Are they just, accepting defeat, or are they actually fighting back to win audiences over?
Oh, they are absolutely fighting back. You see it in a few ways. Major studios, interestingly, like Disney and Warner Bros., they're publicly kind of shifting back toward emphasizing theatrical releases. After some pandemic-era experiments with simultaneous releases, they realize a successful theatrical run can actually drive interest and subscriptions when the film does hit their streaming service later. It builds buzz. And the theaters themselves, they're making substantial investments in technology and upgrades, trying to really enhance that experience. Think opulent seating like recliners, gourmet dining options, way beyond popcorn and soda, and advanced sound and visual technology. They're also diversifying hosting film festivals, special screenings, trying to become community hubs again.
Connecting this to the bigger picture, it really makes you think, doesn't it? How does this constant push and pull shape your own viewing habits, your choices? Definitely makes me think more consciously about what's worth seeing on the big screen versus what I'm happy to watch at home.
It does. It forces everyone, viewers, studios, theaters, to really reevaluate what makes each experience unique. The convenience of home versus that communal, immersive feel of the cinema.
And speaking of that immersive feel, okay, this is the cool part for me. I'm really fascinated by the innovative ways theaters are evolving, trying to deliver these unique, premium, immersive experiences you just can't get on your couch. What kind of tech are we actually seeing?
It's pretty impressive, actually. The ultimate goal, really, is creating that suspension of disbelief, making you feel like you're right there, part of the content.
Oh, man.
So they're implementing immersive and enhanced viewing experiences using premium formats like IMAX, Dolby Cinema, and 4DX. Have you heard about 4DX?
A little bit, yeah. Motion seats, right?
Exactly. Motion seats that move, vibrate, tilt, all synced with the action on screen, plus environmental effects like bursts of air, sprays of water, different scents, wind, fog, even temperature changes. It's wild. They're also installing really advanced sound systems and projection technology, sometimes even using AI-driven calibration to make sure everything's perfectly tuned.
Wow, 40X sounds intense, like a theme park ride almost. But what about something like IMAX? We hear that term all the time. What makes it so special? Beyond just being a bigger screen, how do they get that next level immersion?
Yeah, IMAX is kind of its own beast, and it's more than just size. For instance, the actual IMAX film itself can cost around $2,000 per minute to produce, so it's inherently a premium format from the start. The original projectors used these big xenon bulbs, but the modern digital IMAX, they use a new projector design. It has no prisms and 3 different color lasers, which gives you way higher contrast, much brighter images. And it's all aligned with incredible precision, like down to microns of precision, ensuring every single pixel is just perfect across that huge screen.
Microns of precision, wow, okay. And the cameras. What about shooting for IMAX? What makes those cameras unique for filmmakers?
The cameras are legendary. IMAX film cameras shoot on this massive 65 millimeter film stock with 15 perforations per frame. 15. Standard film is maybe 5. This captures an incredible amount of detail, an approximate resolution of 18K, they say. Way beyond the 4K on your TV at home. It gives this richer texture, almost hyper-real clarity. Now, they are challenging to use. The motors are really loud, so recording dialogue on set is tough. They're heavy, like 55 pounds. And the film magazines are small. 1,000 feet of film only lasts about 3 minutes, so you can't do long takes easily.
Only 3 minutes, geez.
Yeah. But exciting news on that front. IMAX is actually making an entirely new film camera. They hope to release it in about a year. It's being modernized with composite materials, carbon fiber, titanium, making it lighter, quieter, hopefully, new optics, wireless connectivity. But crucially, it still captures that amazing 15 perf IMAX analog film at that incredible 18K quality. So best of both worlds, potentially.
That sounds like a huge leap forward for filmmakers wanting that IMAX look.
Yeah.
Making it easier to capture that detail. And the theaters themselves. The design.
Yeah.
What makes an IMAX theater so iconic and important for the whole experience?
Right. The theater design is absolutely key. It's very specific. You've got that stadium seating, which is unusually steep, ensuring everyone has a clear, unobstructed view. They use up to 12 speakers, carefully placed for really localized sound, so you feel sound coming from specific points, really enveloping you. And the screen itself, it's curved, obviously, and can be up to 2/3 taller than a regular cinema screen. Fills your peripheral vision. It's made of this perforated vinyl coated in a special proprietary silver paint. That ensures uniform brightness across the whole massive surface. And critically, all IMAX theaters are monitored and calibrated every day remotely from central operations centers to guarantee that consistency, that optimal performance for every show, everywhere.
Daily calibration. That's commitment.
Yeah.
Okay, so beyond the huge screens, the lasers, the moving seats, what other maybe less obvious innovations are theaters using to try and win us back? Are they making the whole process better?
Yeah, they're looking at the whole experience, focusing on things like personalization and data-driven engagement, using AI for stuff like personalized movie recommendations, more targeted marketing, even dynamic pricing, adjusting ticket prices based on demand like airlines do. For operational efficiency, they're using AI chatbots for booking, maybe predictive maintenance on projectors so they don't break down during a show, little things that smooth out the experience. Then there are the premium amenities. Luxury seating is big recliners, sometimes even private pods, and way more sophisticated food and drink options, turning it into more of an evening out experience. And finally, boosting safety and accessibility. Things like enhanced cleaning, touchless ticketing. That became really important recently, obviously. What's fascinating here is just how dedicated the industry seems to be to making that big screen experience totally unforgettable, isn't it?
It really is. They're clearly pouring a lot of resources and ingenuity into making it an event, something special you can't replicate at home, pulling out all the stops to give us a compelling reason to leave our couches. Wow. Okay, this has been quite the whirlwind tour. We've really journeyed through this shifting landscape of cinema, haven't we? From those unexpected triumphs of films that flopped initially but found this incredible second life, to the sort of formula behind modern blockbusters, that intricate, often hidden world of film distribution, and now these incredible technological innovations theaters are rolling out to keep us coming back for more.
It really does highlight the enduring power of storytelling, doesn't it? And also that unique kind of communal magic of seeing a film in a theater together. That still holds value, even with the convenience of streaming. The industry seems to be constantly adapting, recognizing that both convenience and spectacle have their place.
Yeah. And thinking about all this, it really raises an important final question, maybe for you listening. As technology keeps blurring the lines between our physical and digital worlds, and the rules of what makes a film a success keep changing, what does the ultimate dream of watching movies truly look like for you in, say, 2035? Will it be mostly about being able to watch absolutely anything, anywhere, anytime on a device? Or will it still be about that unparalleled shared experience of watching together in a truly cutting-edge cinema? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the vast and dynamic world of movies. Keep exploring.